Hello, and welcome to the session, Taking Control of Your Content, the Basics of CLM. Today, I will be your host as we talk. My name is Patrick Swartz. I'm a pre-sales engineer for the North America section. Today, we're going to talk about CLM. What is it anyway? We're going to talk about content lifecycle management and the use of SUSE Manager. We're going to look at our sources. We're going to walk through our filters. And then we're going to talk about how we move things along. And then at the very end, we're going to touch on a couple of basic best practices and some guidances that I found along the way. What is CLM anyway? What is content lifecycle? Let's talk about that for a second. The basic definition of content lifecycle is the process of planning, creating, optimizing, organizing, distributing, measuring, preserving the content throughout its lifetime in your organization. It's a process that aims to improve efficiency and remove the barriers to success. That's the classic definition of content lifecycle. It gives us, and as Robert Rose had said, it's the organization's ability to have efficient and effective management of its content through the entire lifecycle can be the difference between success and failure. And so we're going to look at that from a systems administrator's point of view, how we are going to allow packages and patches and security vulnerability fixes and resolutions into our environment and how we're going to control that using content lifecycle and SUSE Manager. So let's look at how SUSE Manager handles content lifecycle and review how to set this up along the way. Very basic stuff here. But as we look at this is a screenshot of an existing content lifecycle that I have built for this presentation. But it gives us the ability to look at the selected software, our sources, adjust them as we need. And as you can see in this example, I've got a variety of both operating systems and the life cycles that we're going to walk through. I've got Ubuntu. I've got SLES 12 SP5, for example, SLES 15 SP3. I got some Oracle 8 in here. And it kind of gives us the idea of how we're going to walk through the packages and patches we allow in our environment. So what are the parts of content lifecycle inside of SUSE Manager? There are 4 basic parts. Right off the top, we can see the project properties. This gives us the name, the label, the description of what it is, and it gives us a version history by which we can see things that have changed throughout the life cycle of this content, of this project. We can then select our sources. Where are the packages coming from? What's the source of truth for this particular project? Where are the packages originating from? We're going to look at our filters, what we can allow in and what we can deny as we then walk through into the lifecycle environment itself and what the flow of the lifecycle will take. Okay, so those are our 4 basic parts. We're going to go into each one of those very briefly as we dive into content lifecycle inside of SUSE Manager. So our sources, where are the packages coming from? Who are we allowing into our environment? And these could be packages that we get from SUSE Customer Center, from the Red Hat CDN or the Red Hat UI, third-party resources even. Maybe you've got a repository of packages that you've put together in your environment, and you need to allow them into your content lifecycle project. So we can have a variety. We can mix and match from adding third-party resources to our product, the content that we get from Customer Center, for example. But we can select each project will have a single source of truth, and that's key. Each project will have a single source of truth of where the packages are coming from. If we're getting them from SUSE Customer Center for SLES 12, like in this example at the very top, that's what this project will be all about, SLES 12 SP4 SAP. If we're going to, if the project is going to be focused on maybe SLES 15, or maybe SUSE Liberty Linux, that's what we'll select as our source of truth for the coming project. Then we move into filters. Let's narrow down what we're going to allow. So we've got all the content coming down from our source of truth. And those could be environments that are updated daily. And of course, as good sysadmins, we don't want to allow nightly filters or nightly updates to be added to our environment on every day, because we may be patching today and a new patch come out tomorrow. patch tomorrow, we'll have newer updates. And that's not necessarily where we want to be. So we want to be able to create a line in the sand, perhaps, or even filter out packages because we're getting something from somebody else. So we want to filter those out. We want to narrow things down. Or maybe a vulnerability has come out and we need to allow, it's a 0-day type of vulnerability. We need to allow the resolution for that vulnerability into our environment without affecting everything else that we've built. So let's look how some of that would be done. So this is what we're talking about here. We're going to allow you to create various types of filters. We're going to, we can have all kinds of supported filter options like packages, variety of type of packages, the patch data modules, even if we're talking about Red Hat environment. We can have the content, whether it matches, it contains, it's equal, greater than, less than. We can have a variety of matchers inside of each filter. We even have templates that allow you to break things down. There are some things that are more complex than others. Live patching, for example, can be a little bit more complex. We provide filters inside of SUSE Manager to make it easier. You can select a live patch based upon an existing kernel or a live patch based on an existing system in your environment. So these filters allow you then to help create that filter. The templates allow you to create the filters you need for your environment. So let's look at a couple of examples. Right off the top, at the top one, we've got an example of allowing the Polkit CVE. We've told it to filter type as a patch. It's a synopsis, and the matcher is matches. And of course, the synopsis, the keywords inside that CVE was important security update for Polkit. So any patches that came through with the terminology or the phrase important security update for Polkit, in that patch, we would allow it through. As you can see, the rule then set for allow. On the other hand, my other filter here, I've created a deny after April 15th of 2022. I told it the patch was an issue date, greater than or equal to. I selected the issue date. You can see that April 15th was selected, and the rule was a deny. So this was a simple deny rule, a line in the sand. So no patches came in after April 15th into my environment. One more example, looking at our Red Hat, for example, this is using one of those templates I was talking about. We've told it to do the AppStream modules with the defaults that come through with the AppStream. We've picked our channel. In this case, it's our SUSE Liberty Linux, our expanded support channel for AppStream, the updates channel for that. And we're going to, this will then create all of the module filters that we need to support Red Hat and Red Hat 8 based systems. Okay, so let's move things along. Now that we've picked our sources, we've created our filters, what's the next thing we have to do? Well, we're going to create our environments. And inside of our environments is what we're going to then create the channels by which our systems will then attach to. So as we've started, we've identified we've got three environments in this example. We've got a dev environment, we have a QA environment, and we have a production environment. Well, after we've picked our sources, we've created our filters, the next thing we're going to do is simply build. The build function will then create all of the filters. We'll take the filters, our sources, and then create our very first dev environment. Now, this creates a channel, a list of channel, a parent channel with a lot of child channels, possibly in it, that we can then assign to our development type systems. Test those things, make sure that they're the way we want them, the right packages have been added, nothing broke along the way. Once we're happy with that, we simply click on promote. We take the exact environment that we had in dev with all of the packages and patches that were created in dev. We just simply click promote, and voila, they end up in QA. And all the systems that were assigned to the QA channels are now have the exact same packages and patches that were in dev. This gives us a sense of security, knowing that we haven't added anything to our environment. Nothing's changed from what was tested in dev, so that now our teams can test in QA. Once we're happy with the production, or once we're happy with what's happening in QA, we can simply click on the promote button. It will take everything that's in QA Simply promote it into production. Now all of our systems that are assigned to production will have the exact same patches and packages that were allowed in QA that were allowed in dev. Now, this also means that everything that's still in QA is still in QA. We haven't changed that. Everything that's in dev is still in dev. We haven't changed that. Unless we have come over and changed our filters, gone back to the build step, and created a new build. And then the things that we have in dev would be changed, allow us to test those there, simply promote, go into QA, without ever having touched our production environment. Once we're happy again, we click promote, and now our new patches are now in production. So it's a continuous life cycle as we work through our environment. So let's talk quickly about a couple of best practices and some guidance and things that I have found along the way. Real quickly, some ideas are plan some more. But practice. Don't be afraid to experiment with different methods and naming schemes. Trust me, the first time you go through this, you'll realize that, hey, maybe I should have named it slightly different, or I want to do it a little bit differently here. So you can practice. It doesn't break anything. We can build these, we can delete them, we can start over. Okay. When you create your filters, consider adding the allow word and the deny word into each filter name. That way, when you're looking through the list of filters, you can quickly see the allows and the denies. Speaking of filters, filters can be reused per project. You don't have to create a new filter that does the exact same thing for a different project. Instead, you can create one filter, maybe a deny by date filter, and it can be used across all the projects. So you can then reuse each filter. Hence, the allow and the deny in the naming structure comes in really handy to see what they were doing. The hardware architecture type is already in our source name, so we don't need to then add, x86, 64 or ARCH64 or whatever. We're already in the source name, so we don't have to add that. So consider keeping your environment labels short as they're appended to the source channel name. For example, if we look at our project label, and I'm using SUSE Liberty 8 as my project label. Then I've got an environment label called pre-migration. That's then added or appended to the source label where my sources are coming from. So you can see this becomes a very, very long string. And if I start adding in this example, this is a good example here. I didn't need to add the x86 64 in this example because I've already got it in my source. So I could have kept this even shorter by just saying SUSE Liberty 8, pre-migration, and then rel pull. So those are some of the gotchas that I have found along the way. There's a lot more we can get into, and I would look forward to any of the questions that come up. And thank you for your attendance. I hope you enjoy the rest of SUSECon. Look forward to more of SUSE Manager sessions and the other sessions that are along the way. Thank you and have a good day.